Dude, what are we even talking about? We're going to talk about that with you today. We're all familiar with the 6 basic questions: who, what, when, where, why, and how. They're a great way to organize your thoughts in order to communicate in a meaningful manner. At North of Center, we've made a small tweak to that model. We start with what, because if you don't know the what, then your communication will not be effective as a result.
Hi, I'm Cliff W. Gilmore. I'm here with BJ Fitzpatrick Jr., and we are leading from North of Center. We pop in every Wednesday and Friday at noon Pacific to, burn about a quick 15 minutes or so, offering some tips and pointers to help leaders succeed. And, I think one of the things that makes us great is that we're not. Between BJ and I, we've been leading and studying leadership for something like 60 years or more, most of them his. Frankly, some of the most valuable lessons we'll share throughout are from the times when we totally blew it. But we build our coaching and consulting work around what we call communication-based leadership, or CBL. And that's a framework and a foundation on which any leader can build and improve their own leadership style by putting communication at the center of everything that they say and do. Because quite frankly, everything we say and do communicates something to somebody somewhere. I mean, even silence sends a message. So over the course of these webinars, we've been working through the 4496 of CBL. Just a little bit during each of the sessions. That's 4 timeless truths, 4 core characteristics, 9 guiding principles, and 6 essential questions. We're focusing here today on those core characteristics, but they all blend together. They all bleed across. And last time in Can You Spare a Square, we focused on the first of those characteristics, which is that CBL is principle grounded. And we shared 4 ways that that leaders can stick to their principles during times of crisis. So today, we're going to cover the second characteristic of CBL, which is that it is issue driven. Over to BJ.
So at North of Center, we use what we call the vocabulary, North of Center vocabulary, to help leaders develop a communication-based leadership mindset. In vocabulary speak, an issue is a thing about which a leader or an organization communicates. It's the thing you're going to talk about with people. A driving issue is an issue that's likely to influence the ability of a leader and their organization to achieve their goals. Driving issues are cross-checked with key publics to prioritize the development of engagement goals, strategies, objectives, and tactics.
Now, your driving issues, or the what are we even talking about, fall into 3 general categories, and we've broken them down into the acronym T. Now, T stands for enduring topics, events imposed on you, and actions initiated by you. And yeah, I get it. Topics is the second word in the first, but it was terrible acronymology. So work with me here. T is the acronym that we'll use to help remember and help guide you through sorting out your driving issues.
And with that lead in, I'll talk about enduring topics. These are constant. You might think of them as business as usual. They include regular everyday things like compensation, safety, diversity, equity, and inclusion in the workplace, production or sales. They're the items you pay attention to all the time and try to execute like a steady drumbeat. You may even have playbooks, operation manuals, or checklists for ongoing processes and procedures to keep everything rolling, as well as people and entire work sections specifically assigned to carry out those requirements. Your enduring topics are woven throughout the tapestry of your work environment.
All right, so the E in T stands for events imposed upon you. And I'll note here first and foremost that while the enduring topics are the things that are going on constantly, they're always on your mind, you're always aware of them. They tend to manifest themselves as either events imposed on you or the next thing we'll talk about. But the events imposed on you tend to be the nasty stuff. They're the things that fall in your lap when you least expect it. They're the things you have to react to. They are things like I don't know, a recession, safety incidents, aircraft mishaps. Maybe an employee leaves unexpectedly. Maybe you get a negative Yelp review that's just truly scathing and suddenly makes national news, and you don't think it happens? It do. So generally speaking, the events imposed on you tend to be your crisis management stuff. I mean, this is the sort of driving issue that drops on you with little or no warning. Now, at NOC, we define crisis as a situation where unwanted change is imposed from the outside in. And frankly, we spend most of our time with our clients, whether we're coaching one-on-one or working with whole of team, to help them either prevent or avoid a crisis. Now, this whole COVID thing is a near perfect example, though, of a crisis that you can't avoid. It's forcing change from the outside in. Presumably, most of that change is unwanted. And it's happening at a scale that we certainly hope will be a once-in-a-lifetime experience. Negative events tend to be the ones that come to mind when you're thinking about events imposed on you. But it's important to note, too, that positive driving issues can fall in your lap as well. And maybe one of your employees does something heroic, like they save a family from a burning car, or maybe they initiate some sort of coordinated event to deliver masks or supplies during the current ongoing crisis and that sort of thing. Those are good news things. Those are good events that can fall in your lap. You could also have something like just your company receiving some sort of award for distinction or excellence. So when those things come up, those also fall into that events imposed on you category, and they're generally the reactive oh no's, but they can also be the reactive, oh, hey, let's take advantage of this opportunity. So I wouldn't want anybody to get it into their mind that the event is the bad thing. Although they tend to be, or at least they tend to be the things that disrupt you and force a reaction. So part of why we're talking through the T acronym and really the whole, the core characteristics of communication-based leadership as a process is to help leaders develop this mindset that puts communication at the center of what they're doing, and it becomes a reflex for you to do that. And so that, we default, BJ and I are both military guys, long-term history there, both retired from the Marine Corps. We're steeped in the language of acronymology. But acronyms work really well. They create a checklist that you can get into your mind. You can burn it in like a tattoo. And T is one of those. So if you work through understanding what your enduring topics are, then you'll have those on your mind. You'll be thinking about your daily operations through the lens of your enduring topics. And if you know and understand and anticipate what potential events are that could be imposed on you, then again, you're building a reflex, you're building a mindset, you're building a way of thinking about what's going on around you that helps prepare you for when those things happen. So either way, positive or negative, an event that is imposed on you is likely going to have you in reaction mode, and you're going to find yourself communicating about those issues in real time. Back to BJ.
So actions initiated by you. These can be things to include leadership training that you've been planning, safety campaign, maybe even a company picnic. At least at the time, these are issues you're in charge of. You do them on your own time, according to your plan and with a well-crafted message. So we've kind of gone over the TEA of T, and if you think about them and how they come about, you can kind of get your head spinning. Oftentimes, enduring topics come about as a result of an event imposed upon you in the past. And enduring topics can become events imposed upon you very quickly, And most of them can easily transition into action initiated by you. Let's say, for instance, that while you're working from home with your work section, you figure out a way to handle meetings more efficiently here during this COVID shutdown. When the crisis is over, you might institute this as a best practice. Something that happened as a result of an event imposed upon you becomes an enduring topic for you.
All right. So why did we bother investing the last 10 minutes talking about the what? In most communication classes I've sat through, and there have been many, the question is asked, what's the most important part of the communication process? And inevitably the answer is the who, the receiver, the person on the other end. You need to know who they are, listen to them, really pay attention and understand. And what I have found is, first off, absolutely yes, you need to know the people you're communicating with. But if you don't know what you're talking about, dude, you're going to cross paths. You're going to cross wires. I'm reminded of one real brief moment that happened between my wife and I when we were engaged way back in the day. We were making a particularly long drive up the East Coast. And about midway along the way, way late at night, she was driving, and we were pulling into a grocery store to load up on caffeine, basically. And I said, "Hey, you want me to take over? You want me to take over driving?" And she's like, "Oh my gosh, yes, that would be a terrific help." And I was like, cool. And that's how we talk. We're like, "So, dear, would you like me to drive?" "Oh, yes, dear, please do." Yeah. Anyway, so we sorted that out. We went into the grocery store, came back out of the grocery store, and I walked over to the passenger side of the car. And she was tired. She was edgy. She needed someone else to drive, which probably explains why she stopped then and said, "I thought you said you were going to drive." And I blinked at her for a second. I'm like, what is she even talking about? Oh, and I just looked back and I said, "Hey, sweetie, I'm just here to open your door." And she had that moment. We laughed. It was one of those, husband, wife, or, fiance moments that you laugh about years later and probably loses a little something in the telling. But that was an ideal moment right there, just on the personal level of two people had a whole different what. It was a point of confusion. She was thinking one thing, and she said, "I thought you were going to drive." And I'm looking at her like, "Well, I did say I'm going to drive. What are we even talking about here?" And then it dawned on me that she's thinking I'm walking over to my own, the passenger side to get back in the passenger seat. If you don't know the what, if you don't know what you're talking about, you really can't have the conversations you need. You can't engage with those people you need to know so well. So we start at North of Center with the first question, out of our 6 essential questions being, what are you even talking about? And in our vocabulary lingo, it's, what are your driving issues? Think about those things, know them and understand them. And then we'll talk about this in later sessions. Then you can move to identifying your key publics, identifying the people who have a shared interest in that issue, or who you need to build shared interest with, so that then you can prioritize and engage those folks and really build and strengthen the relationships that matter most to you, as a leader or as an organization. But if you start with the what, you start with the answer of, dude, what are we even talking about? You can make sure you know and understand it, and then you can figure out who you need to talk with about what they already know about it, where your common ground is, where your differences are. Then you can move forward to engaging. So summing all of this up here. Oh, wait, I see a note for another story. BJ, do we have time for one more?
Yeah, I think so. If you do it
all right, cool. So, I can't get through one of these things without at some point going, there I was in the Corps. We were doing a bit of training, running a training simulation about an embassy evacuation. And the units that were training on this were training to do it. And then the public affairs guys, my folks, came in and we provided mock media, and we were doing the public engagement and public affairs portion of this thing. And so we trained folks up. We talked to them about how to engage, how to take interviews. And we had this fantastic moment we laughed about over and over as we watched the video repeatedly later, where one of the young lieutenants, very sincere, doing the best he could, taught us a good lesson about what we thought we had taught versus what was being learned. We put a fake interviewer out there, a camera in this guy's face, and the interviewer was asking questions about the mission. And this young lieutenant had nailed down the thing he wanted to talk about, and he kept saying, and he just over and over, and we were just busting up at the time. He would get the question, and it'd be a serious, sincere, legitimate question from the reporter, and he would say, dead serious, "Well, that's not important right now. What's important right now is," and he went off on some other important thing that he had decided was the most important. And I was looking at that going, oh no, this guy, not only doesn't he know who he's talking to, but he doesn't even know the right what. He hasn't found the common what. And so whether he was fixated on the wrong what or needed to get the people he was talking with to understand and share what the what was, he never got there. He just kept saying, that's not important. This is important. And they'd ask him another question. He'd be like, well, that's not important. This is important. Yeah, it was so bad. It was just so bad. And I've got a colleague and I that will get together. We'll still watch that tape every now and then just to get a good nerd public affairs laugh out of it. But the key of that one is, in that case, he hadn't nailed down the right what. And you have to start there. You have to understand that part. And at this point, I'm just kicking a dead horse at the expense of that poor lieutenant who hopefully has gone on, done well, been promoted, and continues to lead. But if you have the wrong way.
He had learned the part where he was supposed to stick with a key issue and not get off track during the interview.
Yeah.
But his driving issue was the wrong one.
Yeah, and what it came down to, thanks for hitting pause on the Gilmore button there. I'm like, chatty Cathy, blah, 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 I'm doing it. Let me slow down, take a breath, and sum up. If you understand your what, then you can start digging into everything you need to know about the who and the why. You can prioritize your key publics that you need to engage, and then you can nail down your goals and what you want to achieve through that engagement, and then you can move forward and do it. But it all starts with the what. So we do see that we have a couple of guests out there. This is essentially the wrap up on our monologue or a dialogue of monologues. But what we do like to do on these then is, once we've wrapped up, just open the floor to questions. So we'll take a couple of seconds. I see a Danielle and an Abigail out there as guests. If you have any questions for us, we'll stick around as long as you want to answer those. You can go to the bottom center of your screen, hit the Q&A button, and submit a question if you would like. You can also do it in the chat bar there if you prefer to do it that way. But we'll give you a couple of breaths while I catch my breath after moving so fast here. We'll slow it down. We'll make it mellow. We'll make it comfortable for somebody to just ask questions and take an answer as you like. So we'll give it another 15, 20 seconds. If you have questions, cool. Cue the background music.
I don't think I'm your music guy, Cliff. You don't want me doing that.
Oh, good Lord. You don't want me singing either. You don't even want me humming. I am the worst at humdingers in the game Cranium. It's just not even worth the trouble. We gave a couple seconds, talked through a bit. I'm not seeing any questions come up. That's no problem. BJ, would you like to give a quick wrap-up summary of the key points we hit?
Yeah. Today we talked about the communication-based leadership as a process and focused on the characteristic that communication-based leadership is issue-driven. We had two important takeaways. First, identify and prioritize your driving issues. Start your engagement process by making sure you know what you're talking about. Second, there's 3 types of issues, and you can remember them using the T acronym: enduring topics, events imposed upon you, and action initiated by you.
And that's a wrap for today. As always, I want to thank you for investing your time with us here at North of Center. We hope you enjoyed it and got something valuable out of it. If you did, do please keep tuning in and please spread the word about us. We'll go live, continue to go live at noon Pacific every Wednesday and Friday for this foreseeable future. We have a series of topics fleshed out. And if you're not able to make that time, just be sure to look for our videos on Facebook, LinkedIn, or the YouTube channel. You can find us as North of Center. Anywhere we are, that's how you'll find us. Right now, LinkedIn, Facebook are the main drivers. And also, by the way, we're on Twitter at NOCCBL. So you can follow us on that handle there.
We also invite you to visit our website at www.northofcenter.com. And you'll find our list of free resources, including videos, Knock Talk podcast, the Hard Knocks blog, and downloadable tools under the resources tab. You can also reach us directly by email at reachnoc@northofcenter.com. That's reach, NOC, at northofcenter.com.
The bottom line is, especially during challenging times like this, we are all leaders in our own way. And if my team, our team here at North of Center can be of any help to you, either through one-on-one coaching or broader help to your entire team, please please don't hesitate to reach out. Our goal is to help leaders become the kind of leaders they would want to follow, and frankly, to help followers become the kind of followers they would want to lead. If we can help you do it, if you have a challenge you want to work through, give us a call. We'll give you some time. And, even if it's just an hour of chatting it up, getting a sense of what's going on, we're pretty comfortable. We can send you away with some useful tips and pointers you can put to work right away. All in all the very best from our team to yours. Stay strong, stay in touch with people, maintain contact, and we'll all get through it all together. All right. Take care out there, folks. Thanks.